forward to the club. Alrighty, can everyone on Zoom hear us? You can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourselves to
Oh,
say
we
yes or
see
no.
Dr. Loria right there. Hey. So,
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
And we can hear you.
we did hear you.
Hi, guys.
Voices from the heavens. So is that-
Hello.
You do know we're recording.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for coming. I'm Adam Wiley. If you didn't know, I'm the president of the German Club, chancellor officially. But thank you for coming this afternoon. The German Club likes to host this event every year, an annual faculty lecture, so that members of the World Language and Literature faculty have the opportunity to present on either topic of research or interest or whatever they're working on to other faculty members and students within the program. So this semester, this year, we have a Professor Encarnacion from the Spanish professor here, and which I'm sure probably are all aware. And she is going to be presenting on teaching social justice in the World Language and Literature classroom. At the end of her presentation, we will have a time for questions, of course. If you're on Zoom, I'm going to ask that you type your questions into the chat and then we'll relay them in person. That way we don't have multiple voices falling from the sky at risk. I'm not sure. That's what it sort of sounds like in here. So, yeah, so Professor Encarnacion.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get a clicker and stay close to me because you know that this thing and I were gonna have issues. But anyway, thank you to the German Club for this invitation. I hope that I can do something that brings us, how we relate, all different languages and my career here at NKU. So I always tell the students that when I started at NKU, your parents were not even having sex, and I didn't say that, okay? But you guys are too young to remember that 1992. So I'm going to try to take you on a trip to 1992 and what happened after that. I always say that we have to blame the students for these social activists. I wasn't a social activist. I wasn't, well, actually, it was a few years ago that my ex-husband, and now that's why it's ex, say, I didn't know you were an activist. And I was like, I didn't know I was an activist. But if an activist is someone who is doing something and not nothing, then that makes me an activist. Then I'm a teacher. So how you put those two activities together? So my story started, back, I'm gonna say 1992, I started at NKU, but it was like somewhere around 1995, 96, that Dr. Landwehr was passing me the baton for the Spanish Club. Okay, so she had the Club Hispania and she was passing me the baton, like, and now we keep passing the baton to someone younger to take care of. So she was passing me. Club Hispania became the Club Amigos Spanish Club. And that was our Spanish club, which our Spanish club started working immediately. And let's say 1999, I want to say, one of the students in the club say, you know what, there is a nun out there that wants to come to our club and talk to us because she needs Spanish speakers and she needs bilingual students who can tutor and mentor at a program that she started in the Basilica, Cathedral Basilica in Covington. So that was Sister Juana Mendez. So Sister Juana was trying to put together a program to teach English. To make this story short, that's how I came to meet Leo Calderon. They were coming up with a house, building a house, or they just rented a house that belonged to the Archdiocese. And Leo was on top of the roof, literally, helping putting the roof. And here the Spanish club was coming in to see how we could contribute, not to put together the roof, but we were the first tutors. Actually, They have started, the students from the Notre Dame Academy have started to teach English to the new migrants, immigrants that were coming to Kentucky. So they have started to teach them, but they were running out of space, running out of sources. So that's when we came in, and we very soon they started teaching English in a center. And this is the program that today Gateway gets the credit. But it was the Spanish Club Amigos who started doing the classes. And I always say that I hold their archives of evidence. So we have the introduction of the Club Amigos. We have the names of all the responsible students for those classes. So they were there religiously teaching English through the day, depending on what time they had available, mostly in the late afternoons and evenings. So that's how our Spanish club, started with the community by teaching Spanish at the Centro de Amistad. At that time, it wasn't only happening, the Spanish club. We have here the French club. So I'm gonna bring memories to you guys, pass it around. If you look furthermore, let me see. We'll find it here. I'll pass it too. But you're going to find pictures. Professor Jench here, her children who have grandchildren are here also with their initiatives and projects. So you guys pass the evidence. So we were doing the Spanish club. We were helping with Centro de Amistad that was starting. By now, Centro de Amistad is closed, and we'll do another story, but Centro de Amistad had 3-4 different locations. So as Centro de Amistad moved around, we moved with Centro de Amistad. But in one of the buildings that was at the Marydale Convent, that was when they started also, Gateway had classrooms there, and that's how the Gateway ESL program started. But we can take credit for that ESL program that is today in Gateway. And other things that I do, and I say always that it's the students to be blamed, it's like they force me, they make me, okay? So the students, they put me up there for rallies. What was this? Oh, we had a rally right in the city, and then in the plaza for DACA students, for Deferred Action students. Oh, NKU, what are we gonna do? I don't know how I still have a job, but also as the faculty who stood up in the plaza, to protest against those lectures that were going to be eliminated. And that takes us, let me see. That takes us to the creation of Esperanza, okay? And here we have La Vanguardia. So we started with Centro de Amistad. Centro de Amistad was on the verge of disappearing. We always had to ask for permission. It was very frustrating because by then Leo Calderon and I were working together, and we always had to ask for permission here in the university. And the university, we wanted to have this center at NKU. And we tried 3 times, we failed. We even had in a moment $250,000 that went poof into something else, but we're not gonna say anything now, too late. But anyway, that center was an idea that we continue trying to bring up, that we were like, okay, eventually we're gonna have a center. So not being able to open that center at NKU, because I don't know if you know, but administrators, they change. And every time that you have a new administrator, you have to explain again, what are you doing, how you're doing, why you're doing, So we went ahead and we opened the Esperanza Latino Center. 4 of us, each one of us put $1,000, and with $4,000, we opened a center in Covington. The rent only was $1,000 a month, and we only had 4, okay? So that means like, how are we gonna pay for electricity, water, everything else? Well, and no staff. So moving day came in, guess where the furniture came in from? Hey, Baptist Center. Love you guys, okay? So the NKU Baptist Center gave us all the chairs and the tables, and the rest came from surplus, okay? So NKU surplus as well. Here you see all the Latino students carrying the furniture, literally coming out of a U-Haul. And I think, yeah, and my ex was the driver of that. Also, it's a family affair, you know, all together. And so this is what Esperanza looked by the end of the day. Okay, so that was the end of the day. And this was Esperanza 1 month later. Okay, so how we got to look so cool, and now Esperanza looks even cooler. Okay, but at this point, we had a community that wanted to help. And we had a director. So for 1 year, I said for 1 year, I impersonated a director. So I was the director of the Esperanza Latino Center, and I was a full-time faculty. So those things I could have not done it if we were not, because I had a lot of support. And we also had a community that was backing us and helping us. And then the DeVu Good Foundation came to the help. So they are the ones who run DeVu Park. And so also they came and they helped us with, they said, okay, Irene, what about if we pay the rent? What it was, Leo, for a year, I believe they offered, and we'll match if you guys do a fundraiser. And we're like, I was about to cry. Okay, that day I'm sitting with the Butler family, talking to them, and I'm like holding my tears because that was the most generous offer ever. And that's how Esperanza, with the support of the DeVu Good Foundation and also the Northern Kentucky Peace and Justice Committee, that's how we became a center. So we have a center, okay? So what's missing in that center? Look at that. The city of Covington gave us computers. All those computers, they're being replaced now. But we were working, you know, with, you probably want a shoestring. So what we needed employees, okay? So we didn't have employees. So our employees came out of the world languages rooms, okay? So literally you have, Jack was one of our first, and Brenda, if you notice, they're wearing coats. I was keeping the heater really low because we didn't have money to pay that bill. So it's, you know, it's February and we are wearing our jackets, our coats, because the new or the acting director wasn't turning on the heater, okay? So it was like Uncle Scrooge. More interns came. So we were lucky enough to have at least 1 to 2 interns per semester. What do you do as an intern? You get to do it all. Jack came first, so Jack had the job to nail all the pictures, blackboard, the whiteboard, the equipment, fix, we got a copy machine. That copy machine, someone needed to fix it. So he was our instructor and handyman in residence, okay? Then after that, we can see more of our students. These are all NKU students. And then we also have right here, this, you always see Reed. If you're there in the camera, that's Reed, our new director. But Reed came to us, he volunteered to teach English. So he sent me an email and he said, listen, I live here in Covington and I want to teach English. I have the experience. So we never said no to anyone who offered help. But for we are gonna go into a 3rd year and we still have an intern working with us. But you see that our interns, they came with all sort of responsibilities. And all, I always say, teaching social justice. I'm not sure if I'm teaching or the students are teaching me, because the students are the ones that usually come to me instead of me going to them. So usually a student is like, oh, I want to help. How can I help? We have Julia here, and Julia came during the summer. She wanted to help. She was lucky Julia got paid this summer. We usually don't pay anyone. But Julia was working with the science camp, And with the science camp, through a grant from CINSAM, we were able to hire Julia and 2 more TAs for the camp. So you can see that putting together the center was really the art of students. I didn't take a picture of the bathroom, but it was very artistic as well. These were the paints that you're going to see, all the decorations. Those were the paints that we were using in the festivals for face painting. So from face painting, they went into the walls of Esperanza. Okay. Here we have our honor roll of all the students that have gone through Esperanza as interns, starting with Jack and Brenda. Brenda, we had a very interesting situation when Brenda was working in Esperanza. They came to us, their family called us to let us know that they were about to evict a family in Covington. So, hey, Brenda was the president of NKU, League of Latin American, NKU LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. So she was right there, and I said, okay, you're not representing Esperanza, but go and say you're LULAC. And we sent her, and actually she ended up, stopping a family from being evicted or even deported. Okay, so these are the things that you don't know that you can do to transform communities, that by saying I want to volunteer, to do something, you are transforming a community. Your impact, you're very young, but there's no way that I would have been able to run a center during an entire year by myself. So that wasn't going to happen, see? And then today we have Julia. So you have Julia right there, and hopefully Julia is watching. And then Julia is our last intern. I hope that next semester we'll have another intern coming. We're looking for bilingual interns, but if you don't speak Spanish, we still can use you, okay? We still can use your help. We just need a commitment. It cannot be like, oh, I want to help today. And if it's just a one day, we still have, that's when the director comes in and he has a list of activities where you can help, okay? So let's see. In 1 year, and this is something, in 1 year, we were like, I tell you that it took a village. The students were running the center, and they would tell you like, oh, they gave me a key. And so they were really running the center while Leo Calderon and I were running the community. So we had to contact the community, how we were going. We were like, every single channel wanted to know about Latinos. It was the new thing. It was like Latinos, we've been here since forever, but it was like, there is a Latino center. So this is the only Latino center in the region. The next one will be up by Sucasa or the Bienestar Center, but in Kentucky, we were it. And people were saying, but why you want to duplicate efforts? And I said, we were not duplicating efforts, because the part that we had was, first of all, that we are one-stop desk. You come to this desk, and whatever we don't know, we're going to make a call and we're going to figure out for you how we can help you. Okay. But in 1 year, we made best of Northern Kentucky, and we have a director, okay? And now we have a paid director. And I'm not gonna say that we pay a fortune just in case that he's listening, he's gonna say, okay? But we do have a director, Reed Yearwood, and you're gonna see that Reed speaks Spanish fluently. He's an instructor, he's techno, he's everything. He's like the whole package. And he also is bringing more students and the community together. Plus, he is spending his days looking for grants on how he can support the center. Because this is one thing, he works for us, and we're the board of directors, but at the same time, he has to raise funds to be able to run his programs and to pay his salary, okay? But we have a board of directors, and if you check that board of directors, we have in our board of directors 2 world languages former students. Kelsey Salek, Kelsey, all of the students that you have seen here, I have met them in the classroom. Okay? I've met them in my classroom and somehow they have connected. I want to do something. And I'm like, oh, you want to do something and I want you. Okay. So we have Kelsey now as a member of our board. We also have Jonathan Northcutt is a member of the board of directors. So to be in the board of directors, it takes years, okay? We have two, and we also have a president of a board of directors in the English Language Learners Foundation. And that Keith Lancer came also from World Languages, okay? So he came from our classrooms. So these are ways in which you guys can start relating. Anyone, any of the nonprofit organizations will benefit from your assistance. Covington is the city with the most amounts of nonprofit organizations. That was another thing, maybe the part that usually takes, because you can open a nonprofit organization, okay? So we had to do all the paperwork. It takes years. Esperanza, we were so lucky that in less than 6 months down the road, we had our 501c3. I always tell people I'm a Spanish teacher with a bad attitude, that's another thing, but not bad attitude with the students, bad attitude when things are happening in the community, okay? So, but good attitude otherwise, yeah. But all that help that has come to us. So let me see, but now was time to pass the baton because I could not, it was 1 year, I was a director 1 year and I was teaching my classes for 1 year and I was trying to handle the house for 1 year. So everything was happening in that year, but that year I was so lucky that we found a director. These are some of the things that happen in Esperanza. Esperanza looks like, you can have people coming one at a time, or you can have, that was, Sister Juana didn't have a center anymore, so she needed a place where families could sign up for power of attorney. Why power of attorney was important? If family gets deported, many of our families are undocumented. So if a family gets deported, they need to have a plan B. They need to have someone that will care for their children. So this is what was happening that night. Another night, the schools, like that was organized by Leo Calderon. He organized several of the schools and the superintendent and principals of some Catholic schools. They wanted to recruit Latino students. So he said, come over, brought the parents, and now we have Latino students attending several of the private schools in the area. Okay. So those were, right here, we are getting ready for the science camp. Okay, so the SINSAM Science Camp, we're gonna do the camp this year again. Thank you to SINSAM, we've been granted again the grant. So we have some money. We have about 15 faculty participating, and this year we're gonna go back and have again, last year we have half of the amount of students. This year we can go and have 24 students again. But we have 24 students, 3 A's, and we get the transportation through the help of Covington superintendent office. Everybody wants to help Esperanza. Okay, so that was the thing that for a year, everybody, for the last 3 years, because now we entered the third year, everybody wanted to help Esperanza. Okay, this is what Esperanza looks like today. Look at that signage, that sign, that big sign made us, I always say that made us hipsters in Covington. Okay, so now we are the hipsters of Covington. That was also created by Adan Calderon, familiarity, not Adan. Yes, Daniel. Oh, sorry, Daniel. Okay, it was created by Daniel, who is an alumni from NKU as well, graduated from graphic arts. Okay, so and our letters. everything created by the students, that is face painted, okay? That is our face painting page. So we had signage, we were ready. So this is what Esperanza looks like on a regular day. That is Jonathan Northcutt. Jonathan, we met in the classroom. We know Jonathan from all the education departments because originally he was a teacher who decided to go nursing. So today he is a graduate nurse and he came extremely handy during COVID. What happened during COVID? During COVID, the old people, all those names on that board, we took off. And we're like, okay, we put our masks and we left and we let the young people behind, okay? So Esperanza did not close during COVID, okay? They were supposed to close like any agency, but they refused between the director, Jonathan, and Katie, who is also our Vista intern. They refused to close, they continue helping because they knew that that was the only information available for the Hispanic community, okay? We have, it's a one-stop desk. Actually, literally, there are 2 desks, and this is something that there's no way that I was gonna be able to get to that high tech, like right now, they just send a message to the community saying like, oh, we have 20 appointments for vision check, or we have 30 appointments for mammographies. And immediately that's where they register right there. They pop out and people make their appointments. This is the director's presentation as of December. These numbers, they went up higher, okay? So these were the numbers as of December. They are almost about to double, okay? What they did during that year when I said goodbye, and this is how they were handling the calls and how you register. So again, they took us to the 21st century. So the young people, letting the young people take care, this is where you guys, by the way, that was a super cool poster. See? There are also some education programs at Esperanza. If you notice that equipment, that is our science building and also the field that the science professors administer outside. And that's Julia right there during the camp, okay? So, and this was coincidence. I didn't tell Julia anything that she was gonna be in the pictures. So it's the science camp is a 1 week full-time camp from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock when you go home, and you explore every science plus math and computer science as well. This is Kayla Cohen's. Kayla is today enjoying nice sunny Mexico in a study abroad program, and here Kayla was teaching our English class. They are also looking for tutors, and this is where students where you guys can assist, because our students, the kids, they speak English, as the parents, the ones who don't. And some of the kids also, they were born here, some others, they recently came. So you have just a mix of everybody. But during COVID, this is where the tutoring is done online, but there is tutoring to make sure that these children are not missing academically. These partnerships and impacts, this is when I say that the new director takes all credit, because we made sure to connect Esperanza with the community. Then the programs, they started to just come in. There we have, that's actually the director. He says the interpreter you have. When you're a director, you wear multiple hats. So he was the interpreter for a day during, the oral checkups. They also have a monthly food assistance program. And here, actually Leo was there last week. Julia, you've been there working. So now you see what it looks like. So they partner with, they partner again with the organizations. So also changing the menu, a little bit the menu, because peanut butter and jelly. Lots of respect for peanut butter and jelly, but Latinos really need peanut butter and jelly. Okay, so that was something, change the menu, and have one day for the community to come and get their groceries. That double that number. Diapers, they also, and again, I cannot take credit for the diapers. Taking off my hat to read if you're there, okay, in the camera. The health fair, we have a very successful health fair, and this is where you guys come, and there is another health fair coming. So this is when all the help we can get. Closing, okay. COVID, during COVID, as I told you, they didn't close, they remained open. All 3 of them got COVID. I know that if you're watching me, you were supposed to be closed, okay? Vaccination, that was a very successful event also to come to the community and to have the vaccinations done.
Esperanza says sorry.
So we had vaccinations done as well. And we all, made sure that the community took advantage of that and to convince the community. Because one thing is like the majority of, when you walk Covington, majority of people in Covington, the Latinos are Guatemalan. So what happens in Guatemala, they solve everything with tea, okay? Talking about injections was something that took time and effort, okay? Esperanza has a budget, okay? So December came, and December we were able to open to have our first event that was postponed because of COVID. So we had our first gala. And thank you, we had the department, we have many of our colleagues from NKU bought tables, and now Esperanza has an operating budget and a capital campaign. So Leo here, he is the president of Esperanza and the chair of the board. I do the work and I happen to be the vice chair, but everybody knows that, they call me the queen bee. So now we have a capital campaign. So the plan is to buy the building. So now that is how we're going to bring the students. I might start selling students, it's like, just kidding. So how you can help. Okay, this is something that everybody here can help. And this is coming very soon. And it's the Flying Pig. Every time that we participate in the set of the Flying Pig, we get money. Okay, so Flying Pig pays nonprofit organizations for bringing volunteers. So you think that the Flying Pig is like, oh, these, no, they are actually, all those are volunteers. Everybody working there, big groups of volunteers. Actually, as a club, you guys can sign up to be volunteers. And then there's different events and activities. This one is the setup, but let's say those people passing the water during the marathon. Those are opportunities to do fundraising with events close by. You can even volunteer at the stadium. So these are like NKU. Last time I went to a football game, the dance team had a booth. So you have to bring the manpower, but usually, and that's how many of our students started in the past. Our students started with the football games, fundraising, and that fundraiser that was started by the students, it was the early initiation of the LULAC, the League of United Latin Americans. They were the ones who worked during, and they'll bring their parents, grandparents, actually grandmas were working there because you have to have enough volunteers to manhandle. We did one. Hot dogs, I was told that they're not called hot dogs but brats. We did all the refreshments, the beer. We saw, so people who are working in the games, every time you see a game, they are all volunteers. And that's another way of doing fundraising. So that money that came from the season, the entire football season, that money was the seed for what is today the LULAC scholarships. So LULAC Cincinnati handles scholarships every year. So how it started was with the fundings that our students, was Pablo Arellano at that time, he graduated back like in 2000, and Pablo organized the Latino students and the business students, and they went and they had a concession, and the money from the concession, you get a profit out of that night, and it went into the scholarships. So that is why we have scholarships today. Esperanza's next thing is to have scholarships. We are still talking about that because it will happen, we need to prioritize, when it's happening. But anyway, anyone that can sign up to volunteer for any of these 2 days. Last year, we did 2 days, and they asked us to come up for a third day. So that third day is so funny. If you were to see the pictures, it's like Reed grabbed anyone who was in the center. It looked like he took our patrons in the center because he needed 12 people. So he put everybody in his car, and that's how they managed the third day. But we get a donation for each day that we come, and it's late afternoon, so you guys can help us there, okay? And that's everything that I brought you guys. I always say that I hold the archives of history in my basement. So I have, pictures, if you cannot find pictures of your professors, just come near me. If not, I still have more there. But Nancy, I don't know if you saw your children. So that is Anna and Peter. I can identify Anna and Peter. Can you identify Anna and Peter?
Put it out there.
Oh, she knows. That's my Anna and that's my Peter. And the next one, we have Dr. Barbara Clo, Giselle, Dr. Loriot. And I tell you, everything that is happening here. So I hope that you guys are going to get very enthusiastic about, okay, let's go out there and be activists. So we can be activists. I always teach the students that being an activist doesn't mean that you are a terrorist, okay? It's just like I had to explain that to people. They hear like activist. And I'm like, an activist is a very positive thing. It's a very, very positive thing. Means that you're active and you are contributing, okay, for one reason or the other. So we have questions? Hopefully not. No, I'm just kidding.
The chat, Giselle wrote, very inspiring and very impressive. Thank you for sharing the journey.
Well, thank you, Giselle, for all those checks you've been signing and sending every single term. Giselle happens to be like all of my colleagues' donors. So very grateful, Giselle.
I had a question just about the science camp. Are the classes taught in Spanish? Or are they taught in English with someone?
Yeah, they are in English because it's like our science faculty. So you know them all, they're in English, but we have 3 TAs. 2 of the TAs are fully bilingual. And the other TA has been with the camp since this camp started many, many years ago when it was the Latino Multicultural Camp. So it has gotten different names, and every time the organization working in might drop it, and that was when Esperanza say the last organization was the English Language Learners Foundation, and we say, are you guys going to do the camp this year? And they're like, nobody wanted to take the lead, and that's where we say, never fear, Esperanza's here. So the camp is ours to keep, so we'll continue running it.
So it's a special session of a longer summer program that the science teachers are doing?
They all sign up for different camps. You'll be surprised how many of the professors, they sign up with different camps. Some are with schools, some are with the community. And at the beginning, they were getting zero, just a gracias. Now they get just a little stipend that you would rather say, don't give me the stipend, invest it in materials. But yes, that's the thing, that they all work like, let's say, astronomy day, you know, they get the big telescope out. So every time that you see the telescope out in the parking lot, it's most often a camp. They also open the planetarium sometimes for us. We have some of the organizations from the community. So with the science camp, we still have Dr. Miriam Cannon. Dr. Cannon is an emeritus professor from the biology department, and she has been running that camp with Leo since, you know, like for the past 30 years. So Miriam comes every year, and she is the one who organizes the professors and then the activities, and we take from there. We recruit the students. I'm usually the one that hops in the yellow bus. Leo is the one pulling the coolers, you know, so all of us, we are all working. Kelsey, you saw Kelsey used to be our student assistant in the department. Kelsey started working with UK University with a health program. So Kelsey was fixing breakfast in the morning. So we had really healthy pancakes with no syrup. That the first time that I got my pancake, I was like, what do you mean no syrup? She's like, try that, you know. And so you'll see, it's like all the things that we try to do, and we have been doing it with no budget. So now we have a little budget and we cannot waste it, okay? Yeah, it's not that I'm talking to heavens, I'm just in case that they're watching. So that's the thing, that now we have a budget, but we still run a center.
So you said next is buying a building, which is a bear by itself. What are your plans after that?
Selling
you gonna
Leo,
rent?
he has some organs that we can sell. Like, he doesn't need 2 kidneys, he can live with 1, okay, so.
That's a very
but
good
that's
question.
that's a very good
That's
question.
About like branching out and
No.
maybe reproducing esperance in other cities? Is that-
Oh, no,
No?
it's gonna happen only in Covington.
No, just Covington, I think after that, it just makes sense to have an endowment. And I don't think we talked about this, but it just makes sense to buy, you know, to have a 3-year capital campaign to buy that building. And then have an endowment, so this way we could have consistent stream of money to maintain the center.
Will it also offer housing? Now I'm interviewing.
Like housing will
You
be
know what I
to
mean?
duplicate, the shelters and all that in Covington has been managed. We are trying to, hopefully, who knows, like, you know, that a group of Latinos, actually, members of LULAC, they did open a house for women in Cincinnati. That is, and I don't remember the name of the house right now,
Casa de Paz.
Casa de Paz. And Casa de Paz is for women, and this was organized, you know, by just some ladies, you know, they got a donation of an old house. And then, I mean, Latinos, they know how to build, okay? I always say, you just don't push them out. Don't push Latin Americans out. They know how to build, you know. Mexicans build the pyramids. So if you need builders, hey, they come, they help. But no, not there. But yes, to grow Esperanza, like right now, we don't fit where we are. So it's just too small, the area, particularly when we want to have like a meeting from the community or a gathering. But the BB&T, that is not BB&T anymore, it's Truist. They also have a room that we can borrow. They, you know, the entire community has come to offer us like, oh, you know, at the beginning it was, Irenelio, what do you want? What do you need? And I was like, are you real? You know, yeah, so. But we got a plan, so I can get a couple of volunteers. No pressure, counselor, chancellor, but yeah. Yes,
Has there been any collaborations with any other schools around here in the Northern Kentucky area or even Cincinnati, like University of Cincinnati, Thomas More, or anything of such? Because when you're talking about the, how the, main group of the Latinos here in Northern Kentucky are Guatemalans, there's a program at Thomas More. I'm a post-baccalaureate student here at NKU. So I went to Thomas More before coming here, and there's a program at Thomas More that's specifically designed for Guatemalans, and it's called 10 Faith, that people from Thomas More go down and it's over spring break, they go down, they help build housing, schools. They do a lot of charitable actions in Guatemala. I just didn't know if there was any collaborations that you've done, with them, or
So-
maybe even spark an interest possibly in reaching out.
absolutely. So there hasn't been a total collaboration yet, but that's coming. That's why we retired Leo. So we can send him now like an Avon lady, selling products. So he already met recently with the president of Thomas More. And UC has then opened the door, but that's just a matter of time. But yes, that is also a plan that's coming to extend, like, let's say, for example, Centro Amistad used to have all their events at Thomas More, okay? And then it was interesting that Esperanza was created as a plan B. Like there were some situations between the archdiocese, and sister wasn't a quiet person. She was very defiant. Remember, I told you that you don't say no to the nuns. You say no, you go to hell. That's it, okay? So sister was, getting a little bit impatient. We're not impatient, actually, you guys know what I'm saying. But she kept trying and trying and trying. So we knew that it was a matter of time for her to say, that's it, I'm out of here. She's today in Cleveland. And we were putting Esperanza, she's one of the founding members of Esperanza, and Esperanza was supposed to be the plan B, but it didn't even, it happened like right there. So it was good that we were in the process of creating a center, because by this time that Centro Amistad closed, we were open and ready to follow that.
Not to be political, but also,
Not to be political.
no, not to be political, but also, if you provide service to Latinos, you have to understand who they are. Or if you happen to be providing service to if you work for a private company, you have to understand who your clients are. If you provide service, in this case, to the Latino immigrant, you have to understand who they are. So if I'm a priest and I have some conservative views, how can I provide services to that community? I'm asking. And that's where we have a problem. That's where sister has a problem sometimes. So, but that takes sometimes its leadership from the president, the new president, Thomas More, which he was very open with the new bishop that we have in Covington. But also too, what is your role? What is the role of higher education? So that's what to me, I see so many opportunities to make a difference, one way or the other. Whatever your views are, be an active member of your community, whatever they may be.
And we knew that Centro Amistad was on the verge of closing when this happened. Like, these needed to happen. These were free lawyers. The lawyers offered to assist this night, but they could not do it in Cristo Rey, which is the parish. They couldn't do it there because the priest was against something you know, and it's like, okay, you have all these congregations who don't have documents, and this is humanitarian efforts, okay? These are humanitarian efforts. You need to have, think about your children. So what are you gonna do? Just get deported and have your children, the children then need to go to social services. So what she's doing is like, don't send them to social services. They have family and friends here. So this is when we knew that the days were just, you know.
We didn't, but I'm glad
No, we're not gonna let Leo talk because he says he's not gonna get political and then he's gonna get me fired. And I enjoy my job a lot.
it's not political. But look, that picture on the left-hand side, we had just opened about a year after that. Sister Maria
This
Francine
is Sister Mary Francine from
Yeah.
Notre Dame
from
Academy.
Notre Dame Academy. Sister Juana was there, Sister Marie Francine, and we had two attorneys, husband and wife. So I was gonna go and give them the key to them and leave. I was not going to stay there. I'm telling you, I decided to stay there.
And take the pictures to have the evidence.
And it really kicked my ass. At the end of the evening, I'm telling you, I was like, I went home and cried. You saw grandmas, you saw kids who were 5 months old. You have high school students. What happened is that in the middle of all these raids that were going on, this is what's happening to our community. But yet, what I found is so resilient is the families were intact. They were together. All those families were Mexicans coming from Florence. None of them are Guatemalans. Now, I could just say, here's the key, I'm leaving. The hell with that. But I stay there. And I talked to the mayor of Covington, who's been very supportive, son, Chris. And I was walking out and I say, honey, bourbon. I say, it's that bad. I say, yes, it was. But I'm telling you, in order to have those experiences, we need to go and get outside our comfort zone. Which I put myself out there. It was a great feeling, but at the same time, it really takes a toll on you. But just like we see this, there's some wonderful, wonderful people out there. And it's a matter of just connecting with them. And if you want to go ahead and get involved and make a difference, it's happening. And you guys are doing it here at NKU. I mean, these programs, I mean, you know.
So I think that, you know, our students, they didn't ever anticipate, like the Club Amigos never anticipated what was gonna be, 30 years later, or almost 30 years later. Actually, one of the original members of Amigos, she's a teacher at Covington Cat, and she was one of the volunteers in when we were starting the educational program. So Emily, I don't know how she was doing it, but Emily was coming out of classes, picking up her children and coming to tutor students at Esperanza, you know, so that's one of the things. I remain in contact also with Julie Klein, now Julie Cruz, and hopefully Julie will not continue changing her last name because I cannot keep track, you know, but Julie was the student who said there is a nun looking for some, you know, tutors, and she is the one who brought me in. To make the story short, Julie is with St. Elizabeth Hospital, but she remains within the community. And don't let Leo talk anymore, because if not, you know, he will take us out and say like, let's rally tonight. And today we don't want to rally, is that right?
Let's get into good trouble. As the congressman would say.
Well, if no one has any more questions, then thank you so much for, this was an
Thank
amazing
you.
presentation. this is the last one that I'm gonna be at as president.
Oh.
Because-
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, was it-
Let's do it's not dun, 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 what's the
Get
graduation?
married.
Na, 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 na.
Oh, but seriously, thank you.
Thank
And thank you
you.
everyone for coming today to hear this. I think it's great hearing about the role that NKU faculty and students have in in our community.
Really
I love
amazing
hearing
to
about
see
it.
how it came from the students as well. It's all, it's amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you, Adam, for organizing it as always.
Of course.
I
So,
think
so
that-
who's gonna take the chancellorship?
That is a great question. We have a few, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording the meeting real quick.
Uh-oh, he's talking off the record.